All right, so if you've been following along, Update 8 has been going through for Enshrouded, and there are quite a few tips that I have recommended earlier on this channel that are now out of date. Now, I wanted to kind of cover some of the more important stuff in a streamlined fashion for Update 8, so make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more Enshrouded content. And also a heads up, keep an eye out for the Mage build guide that's coming out soon. It's the first time I've been playing Mage, and it's a blast. No pun intended. Tip number 1 is going to be about how you can auto sort all the items that are in your inventory with just essentially a click of a button. So the Carpenter has these new pads that you can go ahead and create. And when you create them, you can place them somewhere within your building, typically anywhere near there is magic storage and all of those different chests. If there are already stacks of those particular items that are in your inventory and in those chests, by clicking the deposit all button, it'll automatically sort them to everything within that radius. Super, super convenient, super, super easy. And honestly, it took me way longer than it probably should have to figure this one out, but highly, highly recommend 10 for 10. The second tip is oriented around those magical chests. Those magic chests prove their value over and over again, so build them early. These are not just, of course, the regular storage space. They connect to your building menu, which means that while you are building your base, you can essentially pull the resources directly from them without having to run back and forth to your manual storage. And once you get the blacksmith, this unlocks them. You get the smaller versions. You get 1 or 2 or 3 or 10. I got like 10. And honestly, this is without a doubt one of the single biggest quality of life upgrades in the entire game. And most people don't even really build one until they're a couple of hours in. Just do it earlier. It'll save you so much time and it'll feel a lot better as you're just running around gathering a whole bunch of materials. All right, my third tip is going to be oriented around the adventure sharing. And of course, this was recently added where you basically can download other players' world. You can explore their bases, see their build ideas, loot their areas, and it doesn't affect your own personal world at all. It's basically like free inspiration. If you're stuck on a base design or you just want to see what's possible, go browse the adventure sharing tab, and it's wild to see what the people out there are capable of doing. It's kind of like a Pinterest for survival games. It's pretty cool. All right, my next group of tips are going to be oriented around the skill tree and build decisions. So first and foremost, and I have stressed this for every time that I've talked about this game, double jump. Always get double jump. Get it first. I don't care what build you're running. Mage, warrior, ranger, dagger, it doesn't matter. Double jump is now in the center of the skill tree after update 8, which means that you can reach it without having to commit to a certain path. 4 points, and it changes traversal entirely. You take less fall damage, you can reach areas that you couldn't before, and honestly, it just makes the game feel better to play. My consensus is that if you don't grab double jump in the first like 10 skill points that you get, you're going to make the game harder on yourself for no reason. All right, so the next tip is focused around your talent tree and your skill choices. Honestly, respec as often as you want to. If you put all of your points into something and it doesn't feel right, you can refund it for almost nothing. What I don't want you to do is just sit on unspent skill points because you're afraid of making the wrong decisions. Spend them, test things. If the skill doesn't click with you, then respec out of it. It's really easy. I wasted a bunch of playtime in this game, probably because I was just trying to hoard the points because I didn't want to make the wrong decision or I wanted to have a perfect build. There's no such thing as perfect build. Just do what feels right to you, spend the points, and if you need to respec them, go respec them. Easy. My next tip is focused on the survivor tree. Regardless of your build, the survivor tree is not like a dump stat tree line. I know it's tempting to go all in on damage for your path of a battle mage, a warrior, ranger, dagger, whatever you're doing, but the survivor tree has 2 skills that are genuinely build defining. So the big one is Dessert Stomach. This gives you a 4th food slot, which means that you can have another buff running at all times. Honestly, 3 or 4 points in the Survivor early game really does a lot more for your survivability than 3 or 4 into your main damage tree. Remember, you can't deal damage if you can't run away. All right, so these last 3 tips are going to focus around a bunch of the changes that came with the Update 8, and these are going to be on combat and survival. So tip number 7 focuses on heavy attacks. Update 8 gave every single melee weapon a heavy attack option. You hold the attack button, it deals double damage, double the stun. This isn't necessarily a situational thing. This is your primary combat tool now. Light attacks build focus, heavy attacks delete enemies. The mistake that I was making was that I was treating the heavy attacks like they're a finisher, and I went ahead and saved it for like the last enemy. No, open with it. Stun the first guy, then light attack the rest while they're recovering. I mean, the heavy attack is like your best friend in this game. Trust me, as soon as you start swinging, start hitting them with the big attacks, it makes a world of difference. Tip number 8 is focusing on counting the enemies before you engage. Update 8 added enemy awareness to their systems. Enemies essentially go through a bunch of different states. They are suspicious, they'll look for you, and then they'll enter in combat. And if you're smart about it, you can thin out a camp before the whole camp is aggroed onto you. The rule is simple. 3 or fewer enemies, just engage, whatever. More than 3 enemies, circle around and see if you can't pick off a straggler or 2 with ranged attacks or from stealth first. Then go in. If you just want to run into a camp sword swinging, then you're going to get surrounded. And in this game, if you get surrounded, you'll take a lot of damage and it could mean death. Of course, that's also heavily oriented around being the Shroud. Especially on the time limit, it's a bit rough. Now, that's not to say the case for everything. If your build is right and you have like a ranged mage build like I've been running through, it just works out better for you to just go into the camp and start blasting because you shock all nearby enemies anyway. If you are a melee enjoyer, this tip is more for you. Tip number 9 is going to be oriented around the Blink ability. Blink is a short-range teleport in the healer tree, so you skill into it, and it is the single best panic button in the game. If you get cornered and you're low on HP, and if you're about to get hit by a boss's big attack, blink out. It's 4 skill points, and honestly, it saved my life a whole bunch of different times in this game, more than any other damage skill has. Blink is kind of like one of those things that's not really optional for most builds. Mage, Warrior, Ranger, Blink is just a get out of jail free card, and you press it when you need to. And also, if you spec right below it, you can have Emergency Blink, which pulls you out of stuns as well. Very, very important. I wanted to put some bonus tips together, that are not necessarily oriented around like the combat or the skill tree or anything like that. But it is important to know for the progression and kind of like economy of the game. So the first tip is going to be oriented around what was included for update 8, which is upgrading your gear. You want to upgrade your gear as soon as possible. It costs runes, and then the runes will allow you to upgrade your armor, making it more defensible, as well as giving you extra points to your skill tree. So if you were hoarding extra armor, shields, rings, weapon, whatever you were hoarding, you can go ahead and salvage them, get the runes, and then upgrade your current gear. And this isn't just a little bump. If you have like a mid-tier set, it'll upgrade to pretty high stat values, as well as giving some bonuses for whatever orientation your build is. Really, really important. Don't hoard the skill points, just upgrade. Number 11 is one that I've echoed a lot of times in a lot of my content here, but it's always worth reiterating, is that food buffs are essentially free character upgrades. Don't ignore the food. Honestly, don't ignore the food, don't ignore the water, because they add such a big stat buff for damage, mana regen, more HP. I mean, there's so many benefits depending on which one you're cooking. And the farmer follower, Emily Frey, goes ahead and makes this a lot easier. If you followed my farming guide, a lot of that still applies here. And if you don't go and get the farmer, this works really well if it's paired with the dessert stomach in the survivor tree. And again, it gives you a 4th food slot. You have 4 food buffs running simultaneously. It's like a couple of extra passive skills. Honestly, just food is underrated. Please don't skip it in this game. So my last tip is actually oriented around exploring the world of Embervale. And honestly, this is kind of more like a philosophy thing. That's why I didn't necessarily include it in any one of the main groupings, which is don't rush. Enshrouded is not a game that necessarily rewards speedrunning to the main quests. It rewards literally exploration. Go off the beaten path, find elixir wells, find treasure chests in caves, clear shroud areas when you're slightly over leveled for them. The game is horrible. It's just the worst if you have ADHD, because you get sidetracked so damn easily, man. Honestly, that's the point. That's kind of the point of this game, and it's one of the reasons that I really like it. The best gear, the best upgrades, and the best moments in the game are all kind of like off the beaten path. So if you only got 90 minutes on a weeknight and you think I don't have time to make progress, you do. Just go out and explore a new area. That's the game. So yeah, those are the tips for update 8. And honestly, if you just learn 3 things from this video, I would say turn on auto deposit, get double jump, and start upgrading your gear. And like you can figure out the rest from there. You're pretty smart. I have faith in you. I've got a full-on mage build guide coming next week once I finish farming the rest of the gear. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss that. And if this is your first time playing Enshrouded, play it the way you want to play it. Don't rush it, and enjoy it. As always, stay caffeinated, folks.